How much does that kind of just instill that confidence that you can kind of win this league?
Yeah, I think, we're always confident going into every game. We love playing at home. We love playing in front of our fans. And, I think for us, knowing we have 3 games here, we feel really good about it. Obviously we would have loved to have taken 1 in New York, but we still feel really good about our chances.
You guys ready to name a starter?
Matt Boyd's going to start tomorrow.
Questions?
Obviously, strategy aside, after losing 2 games, does having a day off help? Do you like having a day to clear your mind, or do you want to just get right back at it?
I think in a perfect world, you want to keep playing. You want to go, but with the schedule, use the off day, get the guys the day off, some rest, reset, and come in ready to go tomorrow. It's a good thing. We love playing. We love being out there, and so the schedule is what it is. And the first round, being 8 days, 5 games in 8 days is a little different. But for us right now, we just want to get back out there and play.
With Hosey, seeing the ball go over the wall there last night, probably a good sign. But what has to change to see that him come through in a situation where we're in scoring position earlier in the game and in those moments where you need that big hit, and he's the guy you turn to all season.
Yeah, I think Hosey just needs to be him, right? He needs to be himself, and he has been. He had really good at bats last night. He had an opportunity. We all expect him to get the big hit every single time he gets up there, and but he's done that to himself. We've talked about it all year. He's one of the best players in the league, and if there's anybody I'm confident in coming out tomorrow ready to go, it's going to be Hosey, and he's been our best player all year, and he continues to be.
You know him better than we do. Does he embrace that not the pressure, but that responsibility of being the guy?
Probably too much. I think he, anytime you're around an elite player like that, and they want the moment, they want to be the guy, they thrive on that. And we saw it all year. Hosey's done that. He stepped up huge for us in big situations, and I expect nothing less.
I'm sure we've asked you this at some point during the year, but what makes Cade's fastball so unhittable?
It's the extension, it's the spin, it's the metrics. He gets elite ride and elite extension, and it's just coming at you. It's fast. I had a teammate that said he throws hard and fast, and that's what Cade does, and the ball just gets on you. It's from a steep angle, and he locates. I think that's really what it is.
It's impressive to be at this point in the season, and like we were talking to Hedges before the postseason started, and he was just saying how, his other stuff's just as incredible, and I wish we could show you guys that, but we need to have people prove that they can hit the fastball first. Is it impressive to be at this point in the season and how much he's been used that it's still this good?
It is. It's super impressive, but it's not by accident. We've talked all year. Cade is one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. His detailed routines. He doesn't take a day off. He's always working. You look at Cade when his first outing of the year in Oakland really had a fastball. Every now and then he could land a split, and the sweeper was okay. And now he's got 3 very, very good pitches. He's developed himself, and BG and Carl and Joe have really helped him just continue to develop his secondary pitches. But the fastball has just continued to be great.
What are the challenges of playing when it's cold out? I don't know if it will be colder in the next couple of days versus in New York, but is it harder for a hitter versus a pitcher? What are the challenges?
I think the challenge can be, just staying loose, staying warm. I think there's feel with the baseball. If your fingers get cold, it's tough to grip. It's tough to, it presents challenges, but both teams have it, and we have lots of good aids and tools to stay warm, and you just do it. There's no trick to it. It's just you post and go.
Tom?
Does your heart rate go up when number 99 steps in the box for them?
Yeah. I like watching them hit. I'm a baseball fan too. And anytime you're facing this lineup, and especially Soto and Judge come up there, you have to make pitches.
And you got to be careful with him. Obviously, Hunter makes a pretty good pitch there. How many guys are going to hit that thing 414 feet?
Probably one. That was a great swing on a very good pitch, and it's good baseball. And unfortunately, it went against us. But I'll take Hunter's fastball against any hitter in the league, and Judge put a good swing on one last night.
You had mentioned before yesterday's game that you really, and then again post, you really haven't thought much ahead to 3, 4, 5. Obviously, you just named a Game 3 starter. Do you have any clarity on how you want to attack Game 4 and maybe 5?
I mean, we have some ideas, but we still need to kind of see how the games go. I think we have a number of options that we can use, and we're excited about all of them. But just how the cadence of our whole year has been, let's worry about today, or let's win today, and let's worry about tomorrow. So we're going to stick with that.
You gave the ball to Matt Boyd to start Game 5. Just what gives you the confidence in? And this is similar sort of pressure, similar sort of big situation to give him the ball.
Matt's thrown the ball well every time we've given it to him this year. He's worked tremendously hard to get himself back healthy. We've talked about it, and Matt's been great for us. So I'm excited to give him the ball and see what he can do.
What of a factor is it, as you get deeper into a series, how many times the opposing lineup sees a certain reliever?
I think there's a factor to it. We keep track of all that, and we try to best avoid that. But at the end of the day, our best pitchers are going to face their best hitters, and we just played Detroit 5 games, and Cade and Gaddy saw the top of the lineup 3-4 times apiece. So it's the way it's going to be. We're going to get creative and do those things, and the odds do start to tend towards the hitter, but hitting's hard.
Does guards ball work better at home or on the road? Is there just something about being here that makes it work better?
I think it could be the crowd gets into it. I don't know. I just think that when we get stuff going and we make things happen, that's when we click, and we did that last night. We just weren't able to get that big hit. We had pressure on them all night. It seemed like every inning we had 1-2 guys on, and if not 3. And just weren't able to get that big, base hit double with runners in scoring position. And our guys have been great in those situations, for the majority of the year. And when you have one game where it stands out, it's not going to get us down.
What makes Stephen Kwan a special hitter? What makes him a unique hitter?
His ability to, take what the pitcher gives him, and if you make a mistake, he's got the power to hit the ball out of the yard. Kwani doesn't chase much. He makes elite contact, and he's just a complete hitter.
Can you think of other guys you've seen throughout your career that are anything like him?
I mean, not style-wise, with the big leg kick, and I mean it's a very unique swing that works for him, and it's definitely not how you would teach somebody how to hit, but it's really impressive to see how he can do it, and he's incredibly talented in his ability to do it.
Bo and Austin obviously don't have a hit in the series, and I know a lot of people are kind of talking about that. Can you speak to the quality of at-bats? Are you happy with the way they're working counts, seeing pitches, what their approach might look like, even if the results aren't there?
Yeah, I think both of them work the count. Both of them are ready. They're prepared and they're ready to go. They just haven't had any success or results yet. And I think I love the word "yet" because at any moment, I think either one of them could break out and have a big game for us because they're prepared and they're ready to go.
To follow up on that, how much has David Fry's, not being able to go into the field and getting on the plate and catch, really since the second half of the season, impacted your ability to move things around and get matchups that you like?
Yeah, I think the inability for David to play in the field every day has definitely had an impact on us, and whether that be catching, first base, third base, outfield, he's a incredible utility player, and it's hindered us to be able to get his bat in the lineup a little more often than we'd like to. But to David's credit, he's doing everything he can to impact us, and we find ways to get him in there. We get creative, but it definitely has been a little bit of a hindrance for the versatility that we had the first half of the year.
Anything else for Stephen? All right.
Boise, how are you?
How are you doing? How was your travel?
Perfect.
Talked a lot about the process of rehabbing and getting back to 100%. In terms of your actual pitch mix and what you've worked on here with Cleveland, is anything different from before the injury? Like what is you as a pitcher?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is I've spent the better parts of the last 4 years trying
trying to find the best version of myself, but obviously there were things in the way of that. Injuries, when it's hard to repeat your delivery because of something that you feel, right? So you do your best to pitch through that, yet you pitch around it. And I mean, 1 degree up here, 60 feet, 6 inches away, fan variance is 17 inches down there. That's the width of home plate. So, I mean, I would say what you see now is me just being healthy. And with that, just finally having healthy reps and being able to do the things that I've wanted to do. And with the staff of, Joe and Carl and Brad, those guys understanding like, hey, this is the best version of you. And these, in this, what this looks like here, what this looks like here. And it's just a constant evolution, right? Every day. And I'm really, really grateful for these guys.
Left, Tom?
Thanks. Hey, Matt. It's a good lineup, obviously. How much better is it when they have Rizzo at the bottom there and then kind of have Power at the bottom and then kind of flip it over to him?
No, definitely. I mean, Rizzo's a very good hitter. He's obviously done it in the postseason. He's done it in this park in the postseason. His reputation, precedes himself. It's they have a very good lineup, and it's a welcome challenge. You respect these guys, and it'll be a fun task.
What's the best part of the playoff experience?
Oh man, that's a good question. I mean, personally for me, I've spent the better parts of 9 seasons, watching the playoffs from home, outside of 1 year at Seattle, right? And it's one of those things where you're like, man, I know my time is going to come to get to do that, and you just don't know what it feels like though when you get out there, and it's just it's invigorating. It feels like opening day all over again, but that doesn't even do it justice. It's just it's crazy how you play 162 games. You work a whole year to get to this point, and it's like you don't want to say it's all for nothing, but it's like the slate is wiped clean. And it's like, here you go, just go compete. And I think that's kind of the coolest part of it. It's just it's kind of electrifying in that sense.
What's maybe the part of Hosey that you didn't know until you became his teammate?
Oh man, a lot. When you face somebody from 60 feet away, for a whole career, it's you build up things probably about a player that are true and not true and whatnot. I think the coolest thing about Hosey is the way he shows up ready to play every day. The guy is a gamer. Doesn't matter how he feels. He's the same guy every single day. And we had an idea of that, when you're playing against him. But when you see it firsthand, I mean, he is, you can give him the word spark plug, leader, there's multiple, synonyms that you can use to describe him. And he's truly special. He's one of the best players in our game. He's been one of the best players in our game. When the game's on the line, he's the guy you want in the box or the ball going his way, because he's always going to make a big play.
Tanner had told us that his first postseason start, lead block in his stomach, felt like he couldn't focus his thoughts at times, and he needed to really work through that. Mm-hmm. But his second postseason start, he didn't feel basically any of that. Yeah. You just referenced the opening day feeling. Do you expect that on a day like tomorrow, when you're pitching in a game where it really feels like you gotta win, do you expect it to feel more like maybe, hey, this is that game that has all those emotions and those butterflies, or will it slow down for you because you pitched in the postseason?
I don't know how it's going to feel, but I know what I'm going to do, and that's kind of the way I approach it, right? Like, my game is my game. How I feel, whether it's injury, how I feel, whether it's emotions. I mean, so much can happen, right? You know what I mean? It's like, it's a slippery slope to say how you feel is going to dictate what you're going to go do. So however I feel, whether it's super excited or, like you said, a lead block in my stomach, I'll be happy for it, and I'll just go out there and go do what I know I'm going to do when the ball's in my hand.
On that. I mean, have you had starts where maybe you didn't feel great, but the output was really good, or you felt really well and then maybe you didn't execute quite well?
Yeah, without a doubt, and everywhere in between. That's the beauty of this game, right? So really, what it comes down to is just what do you do when the ball's in your hand? What do you expect of yourself? And then you just go do that, and you just go compete. That's kind of like what you're commanded to do when the ball's in your hand, and that's the cool part.
Point.
Matthew, what's the key when you're facing Judge and Soto, especially early in the game, like first, second, whatever it is? How do you pitch to those guys?
Oh man, I mean, you go out there and attack. They're very good hitters. You respect their ability, their reputation. Is what they did this year is really, really impressive. You go out there and you just compete. It's a welcome challenge, and but yeah, they're very, very good ball players, and it's I think the biggest thing is you just go out there and compete against them.
How do you watch the game over games 1 and 2 when you have a start coming up in the postseason series? Are you able to enjoy it and watch it like any other game, or are you locked in and trying to learn something from Yankee at bats, or how do you balance that?
Both. You do a little bit of everything. I mean, you're definitely locked in. Learning from what's out there. Obviously, you try to dial in on the left-handers more than anything else because they're the most, obviously similar to you. But I mean, you just watch the game. I grew up my dad's a coach. He still coaches summer baseball, 18U baseball in the Seattle area, and ever since I was a kid, I kind of always watched the game through a coach's lens, through strategy, through whatnot. So when you're watching the game, I love to put myself in, maybe what the hitter's trying to do, or what look at the guys on deck and whatnot, and just think of it that way. But you're always watching little details, and it's it's always fun to watch the strategy of the game and watch how things guys approach it and whatnot.
Just going back to the top of the Yankees lineup, and you talk about going and competing against them. How do you balance being aggressive as opposed to when you sit back and sort of see how the at-bat's going and to try and get them out? I mean, it's a balance of knowing the lineup, knowing the situation of the game, all of it, right? Just as it is all year, and but the goal is to get them out. That's just what it comes down to. You got to go out there, you got to go compete against them, and the game will dictate anything else that needs to happen. But I mean, it's the postseason. You want to go against the best. You wouldn't want it any other way, right? I mean, it's you get the chance to go up against Skubal like we did. He was the top this year in the AL in starters, and it's it's a welcome challenge. And the Yankees, their lineup, it's solid, man. They're the best team in the AL record-wise all year. So you want that challenge. We want to go up against the best, and as a pitcher, you welcome that.
Matthew, were you based on the way you guys played the first 2 games and the way you played coming in there, so solid defensively, no mistakes. Were you surprised by kind of the defensive breakdowns here and there in games 1 and 2? And do you think was the moment too big or what?
I mean, I think we're human. Stuff happens. Rocchio is so sure-handed. I mean, stuff just happens, right? That's the nature of it, right? If we were perfect, we probably wouldn't go out there and even play the games when it came down to it, right? So it happens. We just collect ourselves and come out and be ready to compete tomorrow. That's the nature of this. Not only baseball but life. You pick yourself up when stuff happens and make the adjustments that you need to and go forward. It doesn't change who we are. It doesn't change, what we think about anybody or anything like that, what we think about ourselves. We just know individually and collectively what we're capable of, and we'll go out there and go play our game, when it comes out tomorrow, and learn from our mistakes.
Bradford on your left.
Because there was some raggedness in the first couple of games, do you get the sense that everyone is just kind of chomping at the bit on this bigger stage to just show the national audience what this team is all about?
I mean, I don't think we're really wanting to show anybody. We know what we're about, right? A record speaks for itself. We did it in the regular season. We know what we're made of. And we're just gonna go play our game. You know, sometimes doesn't work out like we want to. You know, like I said, that's the nature of being human. But you know, we know who we are. We know our identity as a team, and if anything, this is where we double down on it. And we'll be ready to do that, you know, and make the most out of today and come out tomorrow and do that.
Here.
You had mentioned kind of collecting your thoughts and sort of coming up for air after the way the first two games went. I know you don't have any control over it, but would you have rather played today, or are you glad that you have a day off as a team to go have a workout, try to be competitive, and then restart?
I mean, gosh, something I don't even bother myself with because I don't write the schedule. You know what I mean? It's we got a day off today, so we'll make the most of it, prepare ourselves, and be ready to come out tomorrow.